Welcome back. We sincerely apologize for the delay, but we are glad to say we have Chief Gani Adams with us on the line. Of course, he is a Yoruba traditional ruler, a monarch, and of course, an activist, a staunch advocate for restructuring, which he believes is a key to unlocking Nigeria's true potential and addressing the deep-rooted issues that have plagued Nigeria as a nation for decades. Chief Gani Adams, good evening, and thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, let's start this way. What is your assessment of the present state of the Nigerian nation?
Yeah, firstly, let me correct the impression that you are calling Chief Gani Adams, Iba Gani Adams, or you call it Aare Gani Adams.
Thank you very much.
Basically, there is limit we can say because we have a new government of ground. The government was still just 6 months. And our role as one of the opinion holders and one of the leaders in the country is to try to set an agenda for him, the way he can succeed in his governance, in his government. And at the same time, if you monitor my statement for the past 6 months, I always suggest what the new government can do so that it can succeed in its government. Although we have a government for eight years, that we have a lot of issues in the country, and which we have a situation that the economy of the country was in the stage of comatose. The issue of security challenge was in the high side. But new government, just about 3 months, it formed its cabinet and is trying to put his house in order. So the job of every Nigerian now is to suggest some advice to him so that with the non-government organization and the government, there can be a synergy so that Nigeria can move forward.
All right, very interesting. The Chief, you have consistently advocated for restructuring as a solution to Nigeria's foundational problems. Elaborate. Yes, you've been making statements for some time now, but give us some elaboration on your vision for restructuring in the Nigerian context and how that restructuring that you have in mind will address Nigeria's challenges.
Well, that was one of the things I'm saying. There is no way Nigeria can move forward without being restructured. And the issue of restructuring will not come on board on the basis of this government. This is an agitation that has been existing for a period of 30 years. I remember vividly when Aare MK Abiola won the election in 1993, his most focus and attention, if he was given an opportunity to rule Nigeria, is to restructure Nigeria through sovereign national conference. And you will realize that one of the delegates that played a role in the national conference in 2014. And part of our recommendation was how Nigerian can be restructured, how Nigerian can be a federal state, a proper, not the federal state. We are pronouncing that we are using unitary system of government. The Constitution of Nigeria in 1999 that was given to us by the military need to be overhauled. And if the Constitution is not being overhauled to the context of restructuring, there's no way Nigeria can move forward. And there is no time I try to give a speech without reflecting restructuring. And I'm one of the people that believe that the season in Nigeria should be a federating unit. Either you call it zone through the national constitution, or you call it a region, so that every zone can develop at their own pace. Over reliance on federal allocations can never move Nigeria forward. I think we should look deep through the leaders of the zones, states, and local governments. We should be thinking how we can generate money and give federal their own share of resources. Because when you are talking of governance start from the grassroots. We are talking of the local governments. The local government chairman is very, very close to their people more than the state government. How many people have access to go to state house in their states? Not talking of the federal government, the villa, the house. So definitely the way we are being patterned, the way we are being brought together in 1960 that we attain our independence is on the basis of true federalism. Having a federating units, in the beginning, 3 regions. And our leader was so sensible to agree on that pattern to have a country called Nigeria. It's unfortunate that military came to power in 1966 and truncate the process. And since then, we could not get our bearing as a nation. So for us to be a nation that we can be proud of within a period of 10 to 15 years, we have to go back to the basics. When a young child falls, he will look the front of where he's going. Well, when an elderly falls, he will look back where he's coming from. So that
Aare, Gani Adams,
you can have either region or you call it zone.
All right.
In one
Aare, yes, Aare, just a quick follow-up. You've given us what you want to see. Quite interesting. You want to see, because we hear people talking about restructuring, but what sort of restructuring, what mode of restructuring, what basis of restructuring, how will it be carried out, is what people don't usually tell us. But you've painted a picture, your vision, which you've been advocating for some years now. We're aware of that. So we're looking at 6 regions in Nigeria. Are you advocating for the abolition of the states? Will these states still exist under those regions? What exactly how will it run?
Not at all. Even in South Africa, there is a federal government, there is a province, there is a state, there is a municipal. Nigeria is a very big country with a population of about 230 million people. The level we are, we cannot run this government successful with 3 tiers of government. The system we are running now is state, federal, state, and local government. Even the governors are trying to kill the local government economically. I think we should go back to the 4 tiers of government. The 4 tiers of government is federal, region or zone, state, and local government. By then, the grassroots can be properly taken care of. When you look, most of the roads in this community now, it's not tight. About almost 90% of the road that's supposed to be tight, that's supposed to be reconstructed for the past 30 years have been ignored because of the joint allocation between the local government and the governors. Most of the chairman complained that the governor did not give them even up to 20% of the allocation given to them by federal. But to solve the problem would be very simple. By having a true federalism, either you call it the zone, you call it region, or you call it the zone through the new constitution. By then, the region can checkmate the excesses of the governor can checkmate the excesses of the local government, and the federal government can checkmate the excesses of this region. And that was only way Nigeria can work. I read Minister of Solid Mineral saying a lot about how he wants to reform solid mineral. But my opinion is that if we don't amend our constitution and allow derivation formula or principle on solid mineral, I don't think the vision, the new minister, my brother, Mr. Alaki, the new vision he have about the solid mineral can work, because there's a lot of mafiaism on the issue of solid mineral. I thought one of the security threats we're having in the north and part of the south now is because of the people that are involved in illegal mining of this solid mineral, that are involved in king, emirs, retired military, and some politicians that are involved in it. So for minister to stop the problem once and for all, he must try to send a bill to the National Assembly so that the way 13% was given to the oil producing state should be given to the community and the state that have a solid mineral. My own idea did not even hand on the state level because on the oil issue, 13% was given to the governor. And most of the community that have this crude oil did not benefit on the basis of percentage. I'm having a suggestion that the federal government should have about 50%, the state should have 30%, the host community should have about 15 or 20% of the derivation formula. I think by then the community will protect that mineral resources for federal government.
Yeah, Aare, just to chip in a follow-up question to you, looking at this restructuring that you're talking about and the derivation for the mineral resources of Nigeria, does it not go against your suggestion to the LLRK and the federal government for a constitutional amendment? Does it not go against what you're saying? Because the idea, one will argue, for a restructuring of the federation is so that the units will control their natural resources and pay, you know, a certain amount to the federal government as returns.
Well, it depends on agreement. Based on what you agree through constitution, you can pay to the federal government and federal government can pay to you based on agreement. By then, what we are asking for is that the state and local government should have a very good chance of what you are taking, the outcome of the economic of what you are taking from their own community and the state. Because when you want to talk of Nigeria, what people call a country is the development of the state and local government. Federal government was just a coordinating structure of governance. If everybody wants to know Nigeria as one of the best countries, it lies on the state and the local government. A foreigner that comes to Nigeria, by the time he got to the state and local government, that was the development will be the mindset to rate Nigeria as one of the best country or clean country or one of the good country on the basis of securing their citizens and foreigners, not on the basis of federal influences. The federal government are just here to coordinate the affairs of the state and local government to be a nation. They are the head of the structural of governance. But when you are talking of a structure that will build a nation for a general acceptance of the whole world, lies on state and local government.
All right.
So when you're talking of the sharing formula,
yes,
it may be shared through the constitutional level. And even though if the state is given to federal, it depends on what you agree on the basis of your own constitution.
All right. Aare, this issue of restructuring, you've talked about having 6 regions, and we can have this discussion for the next 5 hours, and we won't get tired. But I want us to look at the security component of this. I mean, you know, your history, of course, with the OPC, which was had a militant vigilante flavor, had to do also with security of the southwestern part of the country. What is your take on security in Nigeria, especially in the southwestern part of Nigeria, regarding the I'm looking for the right word to use, but the agitations for self-determination based on the friction between Yorubas, who are the indigents of the southwest, and herders, who are primarily Fulani or of northern extraction, as championed by Sunday Igboho. What's your take on that agitation? Now that he has left Benin Republic, where he was in detention for Germany, is that agitation over? I want you to talk about that. And also, tell me your thoughts on policing, on security. When this restructuring happens or comes to be as you envision, how will the security architecture from the police, especially police, how will it be? Aare.
Well, let me just correct another impression from you. OPC is not a militant organization. It's a purely socio-cultural organization.
No, I said it had a vigilante flavor aspect to it.
Vigilante flavor is different from militia or militants. Yes. When you are talking of vigilante flavor, it's part of activities to help the community, the immediate community of the structure of OPC. Did not reflect militancy, did not reflect a group that created threats in the community. Although it's a freedom fighter, but it's not a militant organization. Militants did not live within people. It's not easy for militants to live within the people in the urban area. I want to talk about militants. You are talking of the group that live in the interior creek, that do not have police station, that do not have any federal or state security command. But we are talking of the organization that live in the developed and urban areas. So it's very difficult for you to run a militant group within an urban area. Secondly, you are talking about the issue of security. Everything encompasses on restructuring, my brother. When you are talking of security, it encompasses on security. And that was one of the reasons I said our constitution in 1999 needs to be overhauled. And if you look at the contents of the 2014 report of the National Conference, we recommended state police to the states. When we recommended state police, when there is a state police, the state will create a local government police. Even though we haven't have a region, we are still running on the basis of statism. If there is a state police and local government police, the issue of insecurity will reduce to the highest minimum. And by then, because the people of community know the criminal within them, and their family was being employed by the government to be a local government police. So immediately there is any issue of theft or armed robbery in any area, they know those who perpetrate that evil and that act. They go after them and pick them if they were empowered by the government in the local level and state level. And there will still be a federal police too, on the federal issues and certain things that happen in the state that go beyond the jurisdiction of the states. We borrow Federalist Constitution from United States of America. In 1978, led by the head of parliament, Joseph Wyatt, they went there to go and borrow this federal system. But when they brought it to Nigeria, they changed it to their own things. That was the reason we're having problem in Nigeria. In US, there's a federal police, there's a state police, there's a county police. The railway police have their own police too. They have their own detention. So most of the big universities have their own police, they have their own detention. But in Nigeria, we borrow the federalism, the federal system of US, we drop the state police, we drop the local government police. We run only federal police. There must be some security community from the federal and the state and the local government. There's some job a local vigilante can do that federal police cannot do. Because someone you transfer from Zamfara to come and police Ondo State, we don't know look and crannies of Ondo State, and we don't know the criminals of Ondo State. It will take him almost 3-4 years before he understands that environment. But someone that was being born in any community, he knows the family that most of their roots product, they are criminals. And the level of his native intelligence will assist local government police to perform in that area. And if he did not do that job, when he retire, it will affect his own career, either on chieftaincy level or political career. On the issue of state police, issue of murder, thefts, and robbery, I think the state police will handle that in every state and do it well. Because by then, when you see vehicle coming in and you trace their movement, you realize that these people did not belong to our state. What is their business in their state? With the conjunctions of the local government and state police, they will perform wonder. So for us to have a very good security in Nigeria, we need to restructure. We need to overhaul our constitution to have the economic interests that will go from the up, from the top to the ground.
All right.
And the issue of security will be in about 3 layers. But if Nigeria can be restructured into 4 or 5, 6 regions, the layers of security may be 4. But if we are still running the system we are running now, the layer of security will be 3.
All right.
Then,
yeah,
in 2 years, you will realize Nigeria will be highly secure.
Yeah, Aare, just a quick drop. I want to quickly take you back, Aare, to thank you so much to the question on the Yoruba Nation agitation as spearheaded by Sunday Igboho, who has been released from detention in Benin Republic, and he's flown to Germany, where he seems to be on some sort of exile. What are your thoughts on that agitation? And as far as you're concerned, now that he is in Europe...
Well, there's little that can speak about Sunday Igboho. All I can tell you now, my position now is for Nigeria to be restructured. I'm not a spokesman of Sunday Igboho, although it's my brother, but there's a limit I can say about it. But one of the reasons that we have continual agitation of self-determination is because the subsequent government that have left disagree and did not agree to restructure Nigeria. You are talking about Sunday Igboho. What about the Southeast? What is happening there? Sunday Igboho's struggle was still even moderate, was highly constructive compared to what is going on in the South. And we can't even say the Southeast is not moderate. You know, the way different regions operate in their struggle is very, very different. So, there's limit I can talk about the issue of Sunday Igboho. All I can tell you is that if Nigeria is well restructured, if we have people's constitution, it will dissuade people to involve in self-determination.
All right. Interesting, Aare. What are your thoughts on those who believe that you know, this restructuring will lead to the eventual disintegration of Nigeria, just like Muammar Gaddafi predicted? You know, and how do you address these concerns? You know, what safeguards, based on your vision for restructuring, what safeguards can be put in place to ensure Nigeria remains a united and stable nation in the eventuality that this...
Well, I think when there is a justice and fair play, nobody would like to break Nigeria. The population of the United States is about 340 million people now. How many people thought of breaking United States? Because there is a justice and fair play. United States have 50 states. And the 50 states have their own autonomy. There was a time a governor of Atlanta challenged the president of the United States. If you don't do this, I will not allow it, because of certain autonomy that was given to them as a state. There was a time, I won't mention the name of the president, was invited to South Africa. The head of province in Cape Town said, the president must not bring that president to his own province. If you bring it to my province, I will arrest the president. That was a regional head of province, not an head of state. So definitely, when we are having a federating unit, giving them certain autonomy, it will give room for check and balances in governance. And it will allow the mindset of the people in the grassroots to talk to the federal level. And the federal level will be very, very careful. And on the basis of that, the federal government will wake up from their slumbers. It's not about appointing somebody I do not know in my state as being a minister of Federal Republic of Nigeria. And you just announce it, somebody who did not know the pain of the grassroots, somebody who did not know the pain of the local government, even in his own community, they don't know him. You just appoint them as a minister. At the end of the day, when they become a minister, they will not even come to their own base and their own community to know their own feelings. It's not about you just bring somebody as a party to come and represent me in parliament and use the platform of that party to be a senator and the House of Reps. The leadership must come from the grassroots. You must understand the pains of your community, your local government, your state before you went to go and represent it. They call the second chamber of parliament, they call it House of Representatives. Most of the people that represent their constituency do not even know the pains of their constituency. They will not even come to their constituency 2 times within the period of 4 years. After almost 3 months or 4 months of their tenure, they will come back to beg them for another vote. So we have to sit down and design this country the way it will work.
Okay.
This is a country, we have to appreciate our diversity.
Okay.
And we have to appreciate that we have a large population that will attract an investor in the world market to come and invest in our country.
Okay.
And if we don't put our house in order in terms of security, having a proper security, having a proper political stability, having a stable policy, there is no way we can encourage the global village to come and develop Nigeria for us.
Interesting. Some have said, and I have also said this myself at some point, that you've talked about the fact that Nigeria is a large country. It's so large, administratively, the federal government is not able to handle the country effectively. You're talking about bad roads, and you're absolutely right. But, Aare, if you go to some states, even where you are, there's roads that state governments are meant to construct or rehabilitate, renovate, and other infrastructure. These state governors are not doing it. And because of the attention on the federal government, the state governors are getting away with it. We have newspapers replete with stories of embezzlement, lack of accountability, corruption, lack of probity of state governors. Some state governors don't even publish their budgets till today, in this day and age. Looking at this, are we not simply going to restructure Nigeria's problem? Look at the elections that have held across the country recently, on Saturday, and before now in March, where some state governors used the power of incumbency to chase away the opposition, made it difficult for opposition parties to campaign and stifled the space, democratic space. So what will change if more power is divulged to the state governments, even the local governments? What will change? Do we not need to have a conversation about our national ethics, national ethos, values? Is that not more important?
Well, I think that was one of the reasons people like us are calling for regionalism. We have an history that back it up. We know how our political forefather run the Western region from 1952 to 1959. And we know what happened. Even when we are in crisis, development was still going in the Western region. And there is no way federal government can check the excesses of the government. If not, the people in their region can check them. The only way you can check the excesses of the governor is to have something like a premier in the region. The premier will be a check and balances to the governors. The governor will be a check and balances to the local government. And the federal will be a check and balances to the premier. If you don't have a structure like that, you will continue having the governor and they will become emperor. No matter the amount you give to the governor, no matter the money you give them to give to their people, based on the issue of suffering, they will pocket about 90% of it. And how many governors with the EFCC or ICPC will try? The only way we can reduce corruption is to overhaul our security and make sure we overhaul our structures. We are running completely unitary system of government. We are not even running statism. We are running completely unitary system of government. And a country of until ethnics, about almost 250 ethnic nationalities, a country of more than 200 million population, there is no way you can run a unity system of government and move forward. In the whole world, not only in Nigeria, you can only run unity system of government and be successful when you have a population less than 15 million people. And when you have an ethnic nationality that is not up to 10 ethnic nationalities. We are talking about 250 ethnic nationalities. And we are talking about 220 or 230 million people. Although we haven't had the main figure of our census, but we can tentatively, we can say Nigeria is more than 200 million people now. So with the population, with the ethnic nationality, there is no way you can use unity system of government to move the nation forward. That was one of the reasons that we have to go for proper political, economy, and even security restructuring.
Interesting.
And
very
other
interesting.
contents of restructuring.
Okay.
So that there will be a check and balance.
All right.
There is nothing bad when we have a Supreme Court in the state level.
Okay.
In US, they have Supreme Courts in every state. And in Nigeria today, not every state that have an appeal court. If you are not rich, you can't win a case on the basis of litigation in Supreme Court in Nigeria. If you have a land matters, if you don't have somebody that will sponsor you into millions of naira, not as if that you give the money to the judge. The SAN, the lawyer that will fight the cause of your legal issue to Supreme Court, we got nothing less than 30 to 40 million.
Aare,
you can never get a justice.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Before we go, Aare, yes, that's a quick fire question before we go. Yes. So, thank you very much. Before we go, what are the immediate steps now from this moment to be taken to initiate that, build the momentum? What are the immediate steps to be taken? Are you confident that Bola Tinubu, as president of Nigeria, has the political will to take those steps? That's the second question there, because some will say that he's silent on the issue of restructuring before he became president and now has been pretty loud. I mean, we've had also federal government initiatives from the National Conference. The APC, All Progressive Congress itself, has a report, you know, from the Nasser El-Rufai-led Committee on Federalism set up by that party. It's still there. They did it themselves. You know, so what immediate steps need to be taken?
Well, it's by the people's agitation that we encourage Mr. President. If we're silent about it, even though it's the only way out, if we have fear to even jump into it, it's by people agitation, analysis from the opinion models that we're encouraging to make sure you restructure Nigeria. Even though you don't want to call another conference, at least if you pick 70 to 80% of the contents of the report of 2014 National Conference, it will solve a lot of problems in Nigeria.
All right.
Because the products bring together in 2014 National Conference, that maybe Nigeria can get those kind of products again. I'm not saying the brain that's better is not in Nigeria. Okay. Because most of the people that work for Nigeria in different aspects of life were brought together.
All right.
Without even having political mindset or political gain about it. And the recommendation is there.
Thank you.
The former president said he put it in archive, and it's in the archive. For the
president to come thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aare Gani Adams. There's a lot to talk about, even the role of you, traditional leaders or rulers, in getting this conversation going to the next level. But you're saying Nigerians from all walks of lives, all spheres of society need to begin agitating for a restructured nation. Aare Gani Adams, Yoruba traditional leader, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Right, and of course, we'll keep the conversation going. We're back tomorrow with more on Politics HQ. For now, thank you very much for being our guest. My name is Kofi Bartels. Have a good night.